This time on Engine Masters, Motorhome 440, iron versus aluminum heads, and turbo. It's time for more fun with 440 power. So between Roadkill and Engine Masters, we have really turned the Dodge Motorhome 440 big block into a cult superstar. Think back to Roadkill when we built that General Mayhem 68 Charger and tore a 440 out of a motorhome to install in the car. Later on Engine Masters, Dulcich took the 440 that was in the dirt everyday Winnebago and cleaned it up and hopped it up. And between episodes 53 and 58, we ended up making 392 horsepower with a stock long block. And that was pretty good. Now we're going next level by backing up to begin with, because I assure you, this particular turd will not make 392 horsepower. This one's more worn out than our other ones that we've had. It's from a 1978 Dodge Crew Cab truck. This thing has like 7.2 to 7.4 to 1 compression ratio. Everything about it is stock with the exception of a Comp Cam's XE268H flat tappet camshaft and the valve springs to match. It'll have headers on it. It has an Edelbrock base performer intake manifold and a Holley 750. Now, what's gonna make this episode great is you're gonna learn a whole lot. First of all, we're gonna turbocharge it, because people keep telling us without low compression, it's built for boost. Well, we're gonna find out just how built for boost it is. Second of all, people keep asking me, how much better would those engines do if you put aftermarket cylinder heads on it? And we're gonna do that as well. So here's the program. First, we're gonna run this thing naturally aspirated as it sits right now. Second, we're gonna add a turbocharger. Third, we're gonna bolt on some TrickFlow Specialties aluminum cylinder heads. And then fourth, we're gonna add a turbo with the aftermarket heads. So look at all the stuff that you're gonna learn. How much does a turd bone stock 440 make with a cam intake and headers? Then you're gonna find out what you can do with a cheap turbo setup. Then you're gonna see what kind of power the aftermarket heads make naturally aspirated. And then you're gonna find out how much power it makes with a turbo and aftermarket heads. It's the episode that just keeps on giving. I should begin with an apology for bringing that into your shop.
You deserve to apologize. That engine is responsible for single-handedly changing Westech's policy on junkyard engines.
What's that?
They don't come in the door anymore without hitting the hot seat first.
Oh, okay, grease pit?
That thing was hideous. I mean, there was literally chunks falling off of it. So.
Yeah. Steve's OCD, so he cannot handle a drop of oil on the floor, much less that turd. This thing, unfortunately, isn't gonna make the power that yours did before, so you'll be happy to know you're gonna win that.
Well, okay.
Yeah, it's a bit of a smoker, but we can fix that with a turbocharger. First, though, we're gonna run this thing naturally aspirated and have a look at the baseline number. Ready?
I'm curious.
I'm gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, it's better than I thought.
Here's our baseline power, kind of what's expected. 447.7 pound-feet of torque at 3,500 RPM, and an even 350 horsepower at 4,900. Now, the last time we did a Motorhome 440 was episode 58, and it made 392 horsepower. But some things were different. You had that thumper cam in it that had a narrower lobe separation and more exhaust side, and we had degreed it to perfection, and it had a Performer RPM intake manifold instead of the base Performer, and it didn't smoke like this one.
I think I had a Street Dominator, single plane, for the 392 horsepower run. Yeah.
Okay, maybe that was it, yeah. But nonetheless, a slightly different combination, which is why this one's down.
It also had the magic touch of the Dulcich. You forgot that part.
Okay, the next step is something I didn't really anticipate initially. We're gonna go install a Holley Street Dominator intake manifold, which is a single plane, because that's the unit I want to use for the turbos later. So we're gonna do an A/B test on the Performer dual plane versus the Street Dominator single plane. Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah. Let me go get it out of my Jeep. Okay, here we come. This intake right here is the first intake manifold I ever purchased. I got it at the street races in about 1986 for 50 bucks out of the trunk of some guy's car. So if it's hot and somebody has a stolen intake manifold over the past years, I apologize. There we go, Holley Street Dominator. Now this is a single plane intake, which normally means it would throw away a lot of bottom end torque, but this has unusually long runners for a single plane, and Dulcich says it's gonna make more power everywhere, but that's what we're here to find out. So Steve's gonna fire it up, and we're gonna watch. So our new peak power numbers are 444.5 at 3,600 RPM and 364.8 horsepower at 5,000, but that's not the whole story. Here you've got the red line being the Edelbrock Performer intake, the black line is the Holley Street Dominator, and I'm calling this a trade-off I would make.
Yeah, absolutely. This, like Steve had mentioned earlier, the converter will eat that up. You're right past that RPM almost immediately, and this is good stuff here.
That carries pretty good. I mean, I think that's entering the realm of real muscle car madness.
Think so?
Well, 365
horsepower.
That was an advertised number for a lot of legit muscle cars.
10 away from a 396. Yeah. Not bad. It's only a 440.
4.5 over the hydraulic cam to 396.
There you go. Right. So what we're looking at basically is that it threw away some bottom end torque with the Street Dominator intake, but we don't really care because it's a small amount, it's below torque converter stall speed, and it made enough extra horsepower that we're happy with it. Happy enough that we're gonna move on to Boost.
Ooh, that's gonna be even more extra horsepower, hopefully.
Let's turbo this turd.
Turbo time.
Oh boy, I can't wait.
So here is our implement of boost. This whole contraption was put together by Richard Holdner, who tests here for his own YouTube channel, so you may have seen this before. However, we're running it with a different turbo, different intake manifold, and different cylinder head swap than you saw in his program. So he cobbled this just for dyno use. It doesn't fit any car, but it's pretty clever because it starts with stock Dodge 440 truck exhaust manifolds. They're not flipped upside down or anything like that. The hot side comes out of both manifolds, wise into the turbocharger, which is a Borg-Warner S275. You can pick the eBay unit of your choice. It'll probably be similar, but we like the American-made unit there. On the cold side, this discharge right here feeds into a CSU carburetor hat, and we're also using a CSU carburetor, which is designed specifically for blow-through applications. We've used this a bunch out here at Westech, and it's pretty turnkey. How about all these hoses running everywhere? This is an oil feed line into the turbo. Had to punch a hole in the pan for the oil return line. Then, of course, you've got vacuum going down there to the wastegates, or I should say actually a manifold reference going to the wastegates, which are on the spring. We're gonna run about 7 PSI. We're not trying to kill this thing. That same manifold reference goes up there to the blow-off valve, and behind the hat, we have got our boost reference for the fuel system, which is also our boost pressure gauge. We've only got boost here in the hat, not in the manifold. So there you go. That and the O2 sensor to read air-fuel ratio to try and keep this thing alive. I don't want to blow it up, but I think we should make, I don't know, a couple hundred horsepower, 150? Let's see. Doesn't make it smoke any less, that's for sure. So we made 9 pounds of boost, and actually 1 pound of boost is a significant correction there. And it probably is gonna disappoint a lot of people, I think.
You think so?
Am I downplaying too much?
Yeah.
Okay, here's the news. It made 644.5 pound-feet of torque, which is wow, and it made 514 horsepower, which is probably people going, what? I thought you had a turbo. But the junk is stock. It's, you know, it's blowing smoke. It's got a tiny camshaft. It's got no cylinder head. Let's look at the curve and then compare it to naturally aspirated so you can see that this is actually a win.
Wow.
Wow. Wow on the curve. Okay, to be clear, in case you cannot figure it out on your own, these red lines are naturally aspirated. These black lines are under boost. So look at everything that went on here. First of all, how much torque did it pick up? From 433 to 632. So that's 200 pound-feet of torque. 200. How much horsepower did it pick up?
148.
148, almost 150 horsepower. So I was sort of preparing the audience for the low 500 horsepower number. What's your take on that?
Well, it just won't run out the back door. I mean, you're RPM limited, so to get a lot of power, it takes a lot of boost and a lot of cylinder pressure, and we didn't want to blow it up. I mean, we're at 8 to 9 pounds of boost, and what if we were at 14 or 24? We'd have an engine blown up.
Yeah, you get to pick
floor.
your power, and we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little about ignition timing and what we did here versus the compression ratio?
As you compress or add cylinder pressure, the mixture ignites faster. And so you don't need as much ignition timing. But looking at something like this, the cylinder pressure really isn't any greater here than maybe with 12-to-1 compression.
Which you're judging on BMEP.
Yeah, brake mean effective pressure, which it's a theoretical number, but it's some representation of what the cylinder pressure is averaged throughout the power cycle.
And more importantly, it's a made-up number, but in your head, you know, well, a 13-to-1 compression engine is going to do this.
It's a number I see all the time.
Right.
So, I
So
look at
what is
12
the
to 1.
number here?
It was in the mid-180s.
Okay, so basically that's as if this was an, you know what? I bet you his 12.5 to 1 440 was right there.
It is.
Right, exactly. So basically what we just did is ran this thing at 12.5 to 1 compression by adding air into the cylinders, which makes for more pressure. And
So-
because we're starting at 7.2 to
There'll
1.
probably be a lot of guys that poo-poo and say you can't do that, but it's got 36 degrees of timing in it.
36 degrees.
Yeah.
But it wanted 42 naturally
Yeah, so it's back
aspirated.
some. I mean, but the 42 was not big gains from 36 when we ran it earlier. It picked up 5 or 8 or something.
Well,
but
and
it
that's
was
because it's such a steaming turd.
just pile.
Right? Anyway, I think if we had this turbo in a car, we'd be thrilled to death with 644 pound-feet of torque.
Yeah.
Let's go put some cylinder heads on it and see what the gains are, both naturally aspirated and under boost.
I think that might help quite a bit.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
The last couple times we've done motorhome 440s, a lot of people who are viewers have asked, you know, what would it do if it had aluminum heads on it, aftermarket heads? So that's what we're about to find out. I've chose this TrickFlow Specialties head, TFS. First of all, it is fully CNC ported. We picked the model with the 240cc inlet ports instead of the MaxWedge style 270s. And on the chambers, first of all, the intake valve size is 2.190 inches. The stock 440 valve is 2.08 inches. So it's a huge difference. So these are way too trick for what we're doing. I really hope they make a big difference. If they don't, I'm gonna blame that engine because it is a pooch. Is that distributor gonna clear this thing? There we go. That was kind of a lot, but we got our super trick cylinder heads on our super junk engine with our really nice roller rockers and everything, and I really hope it makes power. Guess that's it. All right, we got 3/4 of a point more compression. We lost weight, not that that matters on the dyno, and we got a way better flowing head. So we're gonna pull it now and hopefully it makes a ton more naturally aspirated power. Hit it, Steve. Our new power numbers for the 440 with the TFS aluminum heads are going to be 432.9 horsepower and 473.7 pound-feet of torque. Let's have a look at how it compares with those iron heads. Whoa!
Wow. That's huge.
That is a massive difference.
Pretty good head.
Yeah. I think the thing a lot of people might not realize, because you read so much about, oh, a bigger head is going to kill low-end torque. No. The stock head is so bad that this thing just makes power everywhere.
Well, yeah, 440 is like having a small block Chevy head on a big block, so.
Yeah, by which he means the ports on the big block Chrysler are just way too small. They're like small block ports on a big block, as you can see by this. And even with a tiny, tiny camshaft, for it to make this much meat right here, that's absurd.
I'm going to show something else too. From where it made peak power before, the larger port, how much it carried. It changed where peak power occurs by about 400 or 500 RPM.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can use that all the way down the track too. I mean, RPM is going to be ET.
The great thing about this is that's a massive difference in power with no cost to drivability at all.
No, none whatsoever.
Right.
Yeah, there's no downside to this swap. Yeah, that is a win for TFS right there.
Still want to put pistons and rings in it though.
Nah, turbo.
Turbo it.
Fix it.
Yeah, we'll remove the pistons for you. So, ready to go hang that on there?
I'll do it.
All right, let's go. Turbo. We're all dialed in with our aluminum heads with the turbocharger. We're gonna go see what this does. Fingers crossed for 600 horsepower and the short block staying together. Okay, go ahead, Steve. If it blows up, I hope he doesn't hurt my cylinder heads.
Oh, I know. I hope it doesn't blow up.
Me too. Oh, man, that thing's a smoker.
Wow. It just came just a tick under your 600 number you were hoping for.
I think it's good enough. Maybe we should let it live.
Oh, no. Booster up, baby.
Look at that thing. So I don't know if you were looking at gauges or what, but we saw a lot of smoke out of both the exhaust and the breather.
I couldn't watch the engine because I was doing this.
So first, can we look at the boost curves? See how similar we were to with the stock heads? So the blue line here is our boost with the iron heads, and red is with the aluminum heads. It's kind of the same. Our scale here is only 8.7 up to 9.2. So even though it looks like a radical change, it kind of isn't. All right, let's get to the meat of it though. The power. What did it make? And it made 652 pound-feet of torque and 592 horsepower. Missed my 600 guess by that much. This is the thing that we see all of the time. Whatever gain you make naturally aspirated is the gain that you see under boost. And there you go. With the same boost, the same engine, two different cylinder heads, the NA gain was about 75 horsepower and the boosted gain was about 75 horsepower.
Like they say, build the best NA engine you can because that's going to be the best boosted engine you can build.
Yep, I think that demonstrates that once again. What do you think, Dolchek?
I think, are you guys going to address the elephant in the room here?
Oh, no.
I mean, seriously, we're at 592 horsepower. If you had 8 more,
even Brule wants to fix it.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Steve want to turn up the boost before, ever?
He doesn't care about this motor because he thinks it's a turkey. But
when Troy was in the cell helping us earlier, I told him to move away from the side of the engine. Just make sure nothing hit him.
All right, I want to see your best impersonation of a millennial. Go in there and turn the knob.
I can do it.
All right, Dulcich, this is it. I'm calling it after this.
really?
How come I'm the one with like cold feet and Brule is the one who's like, hey, crank it up?
I know, it's like a role reversal.
It
deal.
is.
But the thing is, I don't know if this can make more than 600 horsepower or even make 600.
Yeah. Piston rings are done.
Yeah.
They're over.
She's had it, man.
Not happening. Yeah, but literally the piston rings will not handle more boost. We keep cranking up the boost and the power keeps dropping. It's just blow by.
That thing's had it, guys.
We have fun though. Did you see the torque number on that last
I
poll?
did.
Let's
I
have
did.
a look at it. 694.3 pound-feet of torque. And this is all at like, 3,600 RPM or something like that. Up top, it only made 589. Literally, we keep cranking boost into it. That number keeps dropping up there. This thing is happy at basically 9 pounds, making 590 horsepower and 650 pound-feet. That's the comfort zone of our turd of a 440.
Like Brule was saying, a set of rings, and maybe that gets a whole lot better.
By the time I've got the bottom end apart for a set of rings,
Yeah.
I'm putting it together the right way.
That makes sense.
That's kind of the point. I mean, we learned a lot here. So now with a fresh engine, then you kind of know where you're at already.
Yeah.
So
We did see that turbos definitely make power.
Well, and we also saw, once again, that NA power gains with the cylinder heads add right up to turbo power gains with the cylinder heads. At the same boost level, it makes the same increase. Cool.
Yeah.
Ready to wrap it up?
I am.
We can talk about you behind your back. That's what's gonna happen right now. All right.
What's new?
What's new? I only have 2 things for you.
I'm ready for them.
One of them, I'm not gonna even believe your answer because I know that you're just gonna go straight to the faith in Ma Mopar. What is the longevity of this short block?
Oh, take that much boost all day long. Are you kidding? Look, this thing's pretty worn out, and we hammered it with 9 or 10 pounds of boost, and it's no worse.
You really believe that the main caps and the rods are gonna take that over and over and over and over?
The internet says the turbos are a lot easier on the bottom end at any given horsepower level, and I believe it.
But at main caps, I mean, why do they make girdles and everything for the Mopars if they can actually just hang?
Just for extra peace of mind and sell parts. All right?
Okay, well, I'll give you this. We know that 440s survive at 600 horsepower and beyond all day long. I don't know about the 700 pound-feet of torque down at lower RPM. That's my concern.
I gotta give you that one.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% comfortable there either.
So I guess question 1, undecided, but we could find out. Question 2, should we reveal to the audience what we hope to do with this monstrosity?
Oh, I would not want to leave them hanging.
Our hope is that we will be able to take this very motorhome 440 and throw it in a car on Roadkill Garage. Will it happen? Well, that's question number 3, and we'll never really know, but that's our scheme. We will see you next time on Engine Masters.
Did you know that I saw these on highway patrol cars in the Central Valley back in the day when they had the 440 Monacos?
Yeah, compared to the 429 LTDs, they needed all the help they could get.
I disagree. I think that the 440 Dodge Monaco of 1977 and 78 were the finest police vehicles ever.
Not compared to the Cobra Jet 460s, right? Or
They had a 429.
Or a
and
police
an LTD.
interceptor.
Yeah, and they were awesome.